Welcome to the Mental Health Boot Camp podcast. This is the podcast where four psychotherapists, three of us Canadian, one of us American, serve you cutting edge mental health knowledge. I'm Dr. Ryan Howes, a psychologist from Pasadena, California.
And I'm Dr. Brooke Lewis, a registered clinical counselor from Coquitlam, BC, Canada.
And I am Joanna Boyd, a registered clinical counselor from Port Moody.
I'm Chris Boyd, psychotherapist from Coquitlam.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to be back. Glad to be serving our cutting edge mental health knowledge with you together. It's been a while, but gosh, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while. Last week we were at a play in downtown Vancouver called Come From Away.
Come From Away. What is that about, Chris?
Well, Ryan, have you ever heard of during September 11th, there were, of course, all the planes were grounded. The airspace in the United States was closed.
Yes.
So 38 planes landed in Gander, Newfoundland.
Gander?
So, Gander.
Okay.
So Gander, the population is about 9,000 people. And on these 38 planes were 7,000 people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
they landed,
the
they were like in flight during the attacks on 9/11 and they had to be diverted. I take it maybe they're headed to New York or somewhere in the States and they just had to land there.
That's right. Yeah. So I think 8,000 people landed in Vancouver, but Vancouver is a city of 2.2 million people. So of course the city absorbed those folks, but for the 7,000 people in Gander, the whole town had to rally around and take all these people in and make sure they're well fed and just showed them a tremendous amount of hospitality down to the finest detail. So all based on a true story. There's a documentary out there too. And we're actually recently in Newfoundland and can speak to the amazing hospitality and just the fun-loving culture out there.
Wow. That sounds
Indeed.
fantastic. And it's a play?
It is a musical. So it's really well done. Catchy tunes, easy to follow, fun, impactful, really, really well done. Yeah. So the documentary is called You Are Here, but we're trying to send it to Ryan and it looks like it might not be available in the US, which is too bad.
Yeah.
Because the musical has been on Broadway, I think, for a little while. I think it's just about to leave Broadway. And obviously it impacts both of our great countries. So that's too bad that it's not there for you guys.
Yeah. So they had like a 10th anniversary ceremony and 2,500 people that were originally that were landed in Gander returned for this ceremony.
Oh, wow.
And
they felt such a bond to the locals, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to their experiences there. They were there for like 5 days. But
Wow.
yeah.
And even part of the World Trade Center is actually in Gander. They kind of sent a piece up there as a
piece of steel.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. Yes, I wanted to see that documentary, but it's not available here yet. So if we have any people from Netflix or HBO or Apple TV listening to us right now, please buy the rights to this documentary. I really want to see it. And I'd love to see the musical too. It sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, anything positive that could, I know it's 9/11 is such an incredible tragedy, but it sounds like they made something, really sweet and kind out of that experience, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Big time. Yeah, I think the folks that stayed there, the Newfoundlanders didn't want any money or compensation. They refused to take anything. But I guess there was a little box, a money box of some kind that someone put out, and they counted it after $60,000 of donations.
Wow.
There's $1 million scholarship set up as well.
Wow.
Yeah, just incredible stories like that. To try to honor the hospitality and positivity of the Newfoundlanders.
Gander. What a name, too. It's great. It's a really cool story. I like that. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I don't know. I mean, of course, to us Americans, the Canadians are already known for their kindness and generosity and hospitality, but this kind of goes above and beyond, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Makes me, feel like I should be a better Canadian after attending and watching. I am not nice or hospitable enough.
You're pretty nice and hospitable. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
It's in an earlier podcast, we were talking about how to make friends, and Brooke, you said something about how Canadians are
Polite.
but not friendly necessarily.
Yeah.
And this sounds like a town in Newfoundland where they were both.
Yeah.
For sure. That sounds great. I love it. Well, all right. Do we have any sort of mental health things we can talk about here? Anyone
In the
have
banter or as a question? I think Chris has a topic.
Oh, he does he? Where's my phone?
Huh?
You're gonna.
I do.
Oh, good.
Great. Well,
I'll send that down to you.
why don't you send this down across the border and we'll see what we're going to talk about tonight.
I'm not sure if we talked about this. I don't think we have, but
Oh boy, sleep hygiene.
coming your way.
Okay.
Curious if it's the one that I thought maybe.
Okay. Here we go. In the cult classic movie, What About Bob? Dr. Leo Marvin tells his patient Bob to take a vacation from his problems. Have you ever suggested a client take a vacay? Is taking a vacation generally beneficial, or can it lead to issues? Okay, a vacation.
We're going to talk about this for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.
Oh, doesn't need to be
Saying
a
that there's
full hour.
not enough there. Not
Well,
enough.
I'm curious. Well, I'm sure we will fill the hour,
I
but
think there's a lot of components to this.
okay, such as.
Well, I don't want to play my hand, so to speak. Ryan often mentions that. But obviously the question is, would we ever recommend a client take a vacation? I think that's going to be a very, it's going to depend on the client, I believe, based on circumstances and personality traits and characteristics. I think there's some circumstances where it might be beneficial, some that it won't. There's components of traveling that might be stressful. I think there's a lot that we can jump into here.
I think I recommended today that my client took a vacation. Like, I think literally my second client today, but not in those words. I said, what are your vacation days like? Like, what's remaining for this year? And have you thought about, because we have September long, there's like Labor Day weekend. I think you guys have Labor Day as well, right?
Yes.
So he was going to take the Friday off to make it a 4-day. And then he was talking about taking the Tuesday off to make an extra one. So I was like, well, have you thought about maybe just taking the week? Maybe like take 4 of your vacation days and take a week. And he just like hit a goal or not a goal, but a big work project, a big step just completed and kind of at the end of the sprint, you know? So we talked about that and whether or not he would want to, or if it would make sense. And because obviously you don't want to abuse your authority or power in those types of recommendations. So it's like something to explore.
So did you recommend a staycation or an actual like go away vacation?
Not being at work. Yeah.
Not being at work.
So I don't think this client would go away for those days. I think this client would stay at home.
And were you concerned that the client was getting burnt out a bit or just needed that time just to rejuvenate?
Yeah. So there's been some somatic symptoms showing up in the morning, like before work, indicating maybe the anxiety isn't being like it's been build and blow, but not really blowing, like it's seeping out, it's manifesting.
What's build and blow?
Build and blow, the pop bottle, when you the stress, the anxiety, the tension, the things you're not saying are building, and then you blow up.
Okay, there we go.
right? Not quite a build and blow situation, but manifesting, seeping out in the mornings. So, yeah. This client also is like a very hard worker and has like all these vacation days that haven't been used,
Sure.
like from last year as well. So there's a little space from work might not be a bad thing.
I'm curious if he's actually going to embrace that downtime or if he's going to find it uneasy. He's so used to, that hard work mentality, right?
We've been working on that. Yeah.
Okay. To define terms, which we do here, right?
So like, what is a vacation?
Well, it's interesting because when what I recall from the movie, What About Bob?
What about Bob?
Leo Marvin, the doctor, he's going on a vacation and he's trying to tell Bob that he's going on vacation and like he's going to be away from the practice for a while. And Bob's a little anxious about that. He's like, oh no, what am I going to do without you? And then Leo says, why don't you take a vacation from your problems? And he doesn't mean, this is the whole joke of the movie. He doesn't mean literally taking a vacation with Dr. Leo Marvin. He just means like leaving your problems behind. Like, why don't you just kind of suppress it, push your problems out of your mind for a while and not think about it basically for a while until I come back from my vacation, then we can talk about it again. But then again, the joke is Bob joins Dr. Leo Marvin on his vacation, and that's where hilarity ensues. But so Chris, I guess I'm wondering, are you talking about actual vacations like Brooke is talking about, like taking vacation days and going on a trip? Do we suggest that people do that, or do we do what Leo Marvin at least intended and say, hey, maybe you should just not think about your problems for a while?
Good question. See, the way I perceived, I haven't seen that movie in such a long time, but pretty iconic movie, is that I thought he was encouraging him to also take a vacation. Maybe it was from his problems and also just take some time away, not intending that, Bob track him down and whatnot. But I think you might be right, though, is within the context of the movie, he was saying take a vacation from your problems. He didn't like that, try to track him down. But for this podcast, I meant just taking a vacation, like a good old traditional vacation, not working, either a staycation or going away somewhere.
Okay, I just, I'm splitting hairs here, but I know that with some folks, there's one technique that some people will use sometimes. If someone worries a lot, they'll say, well, let's schedule your worry time. And say, why don't you, every Sunday at 4 p.m. you get to worry for half an hour, and that'll be your worry time for the week. And then otherwise during the week, you're kind of taking a vacation from your worries or stepping back from your worries and saving that until your scheduled worry time, right?
Yeah, kind of compartmentalizing that a bit. Yeah. Sometimes these worries and concerns can dominate your mind all day. So instead, you're like, let's schedule some time. That is your time to delve into it, to process, to worry as much as you want, almost, allowing yourself to go there. And then after that, focus on other aspects of your life.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. But you're talking about literal vacations. So I'm down with that. Do we ever recommend that? Joe, what do you do with that?
I definitely have suggested it. I think it's just if it's come up more, like I had a client who was talking about not being able to see her mom who lives in the States. And she works a lot. There's a lot of stress here. And so she's striving, wanting that connection time with her mom. So I kind of asked, do you have any time off coming up or some, like a chance to take a vacation to help kind of with that aspect, like it would do you good in that way. So yeah, I'm sure I've suggested it. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing so. I don't think I'm suggesting that clients I think that people just need self-care in some ways, or they just need a little bit of a break but I know that doesn't solve anything because you come back and things are the way they are. So, so that's something to think about. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel that sometimes clients, like the anticipation of vacation often is better than the vacation itself. Have you ever found that, not necessarily clients, but friends or family
Oh
members
yeah.
and stuff? So you,
I think there's
yeah,
no, there's just a lot of people who it's something to look forward to, right? So they're like, okay, it's got to get through this next bit of work or life, and here's this big trip, and it's so exciting. And I think sometimes there's the risk that they kind of, now that that trip's done, they kind of might get a bit low, or they might feel like there's nothing to look forward to a little bit. So I think you got to be careful there a little bit. But I think people totally like to look forward to those things, so it could bring some joy. But you're right. I'm sure there is some argument to say that maybe the anticipation is some part of the best part, just like Christmas, the anticipation of Christmas. It might be better than the vacation itself, but I'm sure you could argue both ways.
yeah. So maybe trying to assess that a bit, make sure that their anticipation is not over the top there, that's realistic. But on the flip side of things, often there's a lot of worry and anxiety about certain elements of it. I definitely have a client I could think of who, anytime vacation is brought up, he gets quite stressed about that as he starts to focus on the packing element of it and the plane travel or all the issues that may happen, right? So I think in those circumstances, on the other end of the spectrum, where you're almost overly concerned about what may happen.
Let's step back and think about what a vacation does as far as someone's mental health, right? I mean, I think we're talking a lot about, I guess, stepping away from work stress, right? But there are other elements of that as well, right? And again, some could be positive, some could be negative. I work for myself, right? For example, and when I take a vacation, of course, I like taking vacations. Those are a lot of fun, but I don't have vacation pay. I don't have vacation days set aside. There's a financial concern about just taking time away from work. That's one thing that kind of goes into the mix, let alone the cost of the vacation itself. But I do take them because there are other benefits that I find are important from vacations. So what do you think is beneficial about vacationing in general?
Going somewhere new, exploring something, having a fun experience.
Yeah.
Play, right? Joy,
Play. Yeah.
Relaxation, depending
Often
what you're
connection,
doing.
right? You travel to see someone or you travel with people. Often everyday lives can be quite busy, so you get to spend some quality time with those individuals.
Or you meet new people who are also traveling.
Yeah.
And that can be fun.
But I think that comes down to preference though, right?
Yeah.
Because my ideal vacation might be very different from yours, Ryan, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on what elements that you're hoping to kind of tap into.
Which is good, right? And also like, yeah, a staycation might not be as much novelty, but for people who like to be productive around the house, you can get some of the things off your to-do list, or you can just let your nervous system reset. You don't have to get to the things on your list. You can just like go where the wind takes you for a week and still be in the comfort of your own home and get curious about something, or tap into a hobby or an interest that you haven't been able to indulge in for a while, catch up on sleep, watch something funny, see a friend, you can still connect that way. So I think that there is still a lot of benefit to staycation opposed to a traditional go somewhere new kind of vacation.
There could also be novelty there too, because
there can
we live in Vancouver, and I know
should
people
you
go into the city or check out different neighborhoods and stuff like that. If you want to. Yeah.
So growing up, my family were not travelers, vacationers. My dad had the same 2 weeks off, the last week of July, first week of August. Those were his weeks off in the summer. And then he had like Christmas. I think he only had 4 weeks off in the year. So we took the 2 in the summer, and we didn't go anywhere. We didn't leave our neighborhood. We didn't explore areas of Vancouver. If we were lucky, we went to the beach 1 or 2 days, which was Sasamat. And we would be home by 12:30 so that we could be around the house. Like there was so for me, I do enjoy staycations as an adult because I've learned how to embrace that, I think, throughout my whole life, So yeah, I think there's just a variety of people out there, and you can really just lean into so many opportunities when it comes to vacationing.
I always find that when I take a vacation, whether it's a staycation or traveling somewhere, that it helps me get a better a perspective, a balance in my life. Like, just to know that oh wow, life goes on in other places other than Pasadena, California. There are other other things out there, things to appreciate, people to meet, things to enjoy. When I have a day on a vacation, when I'm going to a forest or a museum or wherever it might be, it's like, yeah, this exists in the world too. Because I think one of the problems, at least with the Western idea of life, is that work is kind of the center point oftentimes, and we all kind of navigate around our work life, and can get really, I guess, almost brainwashed into thinking that's all there is in life. Or, there's work, and then there's the people around us, and then there's the weekend, and then we go back to work. But taking a vacation kind of helps us step back and say, oh wow, there's a lot more to life than that. And I think a lot of people, myself included, oftentimes come back from a vacation with sort of a resolution in mind of like, I'm gonna do this with my life. I want to have more leisure time, or I want to, explore more areas in my neighborhood, or wherever that might be. And I think that's very, very healthy, just to have that sense of the how broad and deep the world really is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think there's certain countries that are trying to emphasize that more, right? Encouraging people like shorter work weeks and more vacation time or mandatory vacation time.
Oh,
Sweden's
one of them. Yeah.
I mean, Europe in general just does this so much better than we do.
Seems like it. Yeah.
It's about life. It's not about work. Yeah.
So much of Europe just takes August off, and they work their 30 to 35-hour work weeks, and they just have balance in their life, much more so than at least my culture, where being busy is like the most socially acceptable pathology. It's a good thing. Oh, I'm so busy. Well, is that really healthy for you though?
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. A different take on it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Europe's great for that, because you can hop on a plane for 30 minutes and you touch down, and different architecture and history and language and cuisine and beer, like you name it, music. So
exactly.
Yeah, you can really make the most of a vacation, it seems.
Brooke, you mentioned that you just today recommended someone utilize their vacation time. Like, when working with a client, what might be some signs that or some things you might hear from them that would make you think, maybe this person needs a vacation. Maybe that's something they need a little nudge on here to take that vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for this client, there's been increased like irritability, emotional resiliency has been a little lower, and the somatic stuff coming up in the morning. So physically, some physical symptoms were showing up in the morning that pretty sure, like, he deduced himself that it was probably due to work stress, because they're showing up like Monday mornings, and they're showing up after a stressful work email. Like, it's he deduced that well. So that was a big indicator. And then for this specific client, it was, again, just seemed like a perfect time, because there was this big looming big step that had to happen for a project, and that step was going to be is completed today or tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
So it would line up really well as for workload. So it's actually being proactive instead of reactive if you were to take one now. Yeah. But others, I think the signs that I look for are like neglect of care of self, and not engaging in hobbies or interests because there's fatigue. So really just looking for kind of signs of burnout, not eating or sleeping well, irritability is increased, not experiencing as much joy, challenges getting out socially. Like when all of those things really escalate, I'm like, might want to think about this.
Yeah, it seems like if someone goes, oh, I haven't used my vacation time, or I have tons of vacation time that keeps on rolling over, that's often
an
a
indicator
clear
for
sign
me.
that, wait a minute here.
I'm like, why aren't you taking vacations? Why
Yeah.
aren't you taking time off work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. I mean, it again, it's about balance. Then it sounds like it's about, when someone feels like their life is out of balance and they're kind of overly focused on the work and they're noticing physical symptoms of that.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional,
sure.
relational symptoms. Sure.
Yeah. But then again, it kind of comes down to preference, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, if I was going to have that conversation with the client, it'd be, well, what would an ideal vacation look like for you? Because often to broadly talk about two categories is some people like to go to Europe or go on an adventure of some kind and learn, and kind of busy days, and others like just sit on a beach, right? Or just be in nature somewhere.
Yeah.
Obviously lots of other options in there, but those are two broad categories I keep on hearing.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of helpful for some clients to be talking about what are you going to be doing on this vacation. So for people who work a lot and are very work focused, they may not know what to do on vacation. Like if they take time off work
and they're not good at relaxing
away, then how like that's actually could seem scary to them.
Yeah.
So helping navigate that a little bit. And for the client today, like, because it's heads up, we don't want to be on the highway to burnout town. We also talked about how, hey, you know what, if you do this, if you take these days off, the first day or two or three, you might be really exhausted or out of sorts, or like just you might not be full of zest in those first couple days as your body's replenishing, and that's normal.
Yeah.
Totally.
And also the for those who do work a lot, talking about whether they're going to have their phone with them or take their laptop with them.
Yeah, work boundaries.
Because I have a client who works a lot. We talked about the importance of taking vacation. He was looking forward to it. He was attached to his phone the whole time and checking emails, and he got sucked into some work calls and stuff like that. So before he took another vacation, we talked about that, and maybe communicating that to his company as well, that he's going to be off the grid and not to reach out unless it's an absolute emergency, right?
Sure. And I guess it's as good a point as any to point out the fact that that we recognize that not everyone's able to take vacation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That in itself is a privilege that a lot of people don't have for financial reasons or whatever their work situation might be. So the ability to be able to step away from work and relax or have an adventure or something like that is not something available to everybody.
It's almost being mindful of maybe your client situation before asking, because it might be a bit of a slap in the face if you're like, well, obviously I would take a vacation if I could, but I have to work 2 jobs and I have to take care of the kids and it's way too expensive, and who knows.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah.
But
or if they are using those vacation days for something else, like if a family member is in ill health and there's a lot of appointments or needing to support or care give somebody, then people often use their vacation days for that.
Very true. Yeah. And again, and some people, the idea of we talk about a staycation as an option that may just be the choice. If they're going to have some time off, then that will be their time off, and knowing how to, I guess, make the most of that is another bit to this vacation thing, right, Chris?
Yeah, big time, for sure. Because sometimes there's definitely elements that can be consistent, right? Another part of this too is who you're with versus where you are.
Mhm.
So it might be more about just connecting with friends and family. You can still get out into nature, or you do something you wouldn't typically do on a weekend, so
Something indulgent a little, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's lots of options there that could be explored.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even again, having the privilege to be able to choose is wonderful, and I'm grateful for that. But there's sometimes when I'd like to take, have a social vacation like I did about 6 weeks ago to go and visit you guys, right? It was just let's go hang out and let's talk and do some things together. There are times when I've taken solo vacations. There are times when I've wanted the vacation where I just sit and don't do anything for a few days, and then some vacations where I want to see every site and every museum and every point of interest in a new city. So sometimes that varies from person to person or from month to month, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's lots of clients out there that experience anxiety when it comes to travel, right? And that's where vacation can be a very anxiety provoking situation. So maybe logically they may understand that taking some time off would be important, but there's a lot of fear there. So often that would become the focus of therapy too. So maybe dealing with that anxiety in regard to flying, for instance, or just being away from work, not connected to work.
Yeah.
I think that can become a focal point at times.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, we're trying to manage all those situations that may happen that you're not in control of, or because last thing you want is for someone to go on vacation and for it to be very, very stressful for them.
Mhm.
They come back and feeling pretty burnt out or frustrated by that, right?
And ultimately, it's not our choice to make.
Yeah.
It's just, raising awareness. Hey, have you maybe thought about taking some time off work? This is what I'm noticing. Could be helpful. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, it's your choice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nothing super direct, right? Like
Yeah.
a doctor's note. Chris must take all vacation days immediately.
Yeah, no, I think I would be very cautious about recommending vacation like overtly.
Mhm.
It's more of, but it may come up in conversation. And if there's any barriers there as to why they're not taking vacation, then that could be something we could work on.
Yeah.
So I don't want anxiety to get in the way of them going on vacation or enjoying themselves if that's what the plan already is,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that gets to a different point too, which is, have you had people who've taken time off of work due to stress or, not necessarily vacation time, but I need to take a leave of absence from my work because it's too much or there's too much going on in my life. And I need to regroup for, purely for mental health purposes, maybe physical health as well. I know that I have. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Happens frequently, I would say, when it's not uncommon. We when we had the wellness center, we had an RMT registered massage therapist. We had a few of those. Often the RMTs would take extended time off, like 1 month chunks, potentially a few times a year. I would assume it's obviously a very physically demanding job to be a massage therapist. But this one therapist had mentioned to me that it takes him almost 2 weeks to even feel like he's then able to enjoy the vacation or the time off. So it almost takes 10 days to 2 weeks for him to kind of reset.
Holy cow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of burnout, or a lot of recuperation after, I guess, a tremendous amount of output. Sounds like.
Yes. Yeah. So I think when there's a leave of absence, when I get a client who says they're on a medical leave of absence and they're going to be off for 2 weeks, in my head, I never believe them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, we'll see how that goes. You'll attend the doctor's appointment next week. But I would say often if someone goes on a medical leave, you're looking at like 2 or 3 months before they're going back.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of it. After 2 weeks, I think you're getting to ground zero, where then you can start doing the work that you need to do for stress management or re-engagement of life, or like treatment and replenishment to get you back to being able to go to work. But I think the first few weeks, you're just trying to get to ground zero.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which is an interesting topic in itself, because sometimes taking a leave from work can sometimes backfire a bit because it's too much downtime and unstructured time, which is a whole nother topic there.
Or leads to avoidance because you're not dealing with the stress, and then it
Yeah.
seems more stressful to go back. Like there's
Or there's going to be like 100 emails waiting for you when you get back.
yeah. So not returning becomes like a safety behavior to the stress, to avoid
Yeah.
the stress.
But one thing I've realized for sure is clients who take a medical leave, it's definitely not a vacation in their minds.
No,
They have time off, and even if they try to maybe go have the novelty and maybe travel a little bit, there's a different mentality.
completely different.
Yeah.
It's often quite, mopey.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's kind of often sluggish.
Yeah.
It's not a joyous time.
Yeah, the context is very different, right?
Yes.
Which is interesting. I have a client recently who is taking a leave, a small leave of absence, and he mentioned like he has some property up up north, and he's going to go up there and just unwind and do some work on some projects. But he said he's not going to take his boat up there. He's not going to take his motorcycle. It's not a vacation. It's a mental health break. Is what the way he framed it.
Nice.
So he said every day he's going to try to map it out. So he's going to do a bit of work projects, because that gives him a sense of achievement and helps him get grounded in the moment. He's going to do some writing. He likes to write poetry. He's going to do, connect with some people up there. He's going to sit by the lake, do some meditation. So he had a bunch of ideas in terms of what he was going to do, but it's going to be very intentional versus just like staying away from alcohol and everything else. So
Almost like his own little wellness retreat.
yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. He says it's not going to be a vacation. It's going to be a mental health break, even though he's up at his property and whatnot, right? Recreational area.
Yeah, that sounds good for him. He's really going with a good intention there. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Nice. I've joked with some friends before saying that I think when we take vacations, maybe we should take vacations that are miserable, so that when we come back to the rest of our life, it feels great by comparison.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people take these great vacations and then they kind of go, oh, I don't want to have to go back to work, or I don't want to have to go back to my day-to-day life. Because their vacations are this escape that are so wonderful and freeing that that their regular life seems horrible by comparison.
Yeah. Or often Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, and I was just going to say, in a different way though, Ryan, I think I've also heard from people, they're happy to be home. Yeah. Like at the end of a vacation, like whether depending on the type of vacation it was, and maybe what their needs were on the vacation. You've also heard, okay, it's just whether there's a lot of money spent, or there's a lot of eating out, or just looking forward to being back into routine, or there's no place like home, like Vancouver, or just the comforts of home. So I feel like there's a good spectrum there.
True.
I think there's a lot of factors that go into, what that response is or what's going on.
Yeah. Or you hear, I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah.
So exhausting, tiring. So maybe next time they're going to have to tweak things a bit.
Coming home a few days early, so you still have a few days at home.
That too. Another fellow, he's going on an Alaskan cruise with his wife, and currently they're not communicating very effectively.
Yeah.
So he's very curious to see how it's going to go. But they are kind of busybodies, so now they're going to have 7 days together, just the two of them. So it may actually lead to some pretty serious conversations, or coming back and trying to hash it out, right?
I've noticed that my vacation habits have changed a bit in my life, where I used to be a big planner, and I still like to plan a little bit for my vacations, but I also like to just kind of go with the flow a bit more than I used to. I'm not a big itinerary traveler. I have some general ideas, but nothing like too set in stone. And I also like to, I know that I know myself well enough to know that the first few days, kind of like Brooke was saying, it takes a few days to wind down. So I actually like to have the most activity at the beginning of a trip, because I'm kind of, that's the way my energy is going to go. Like I have a lot of energy. I want to see a lot of things. Okay, I'll do a lot of that stuff at the beginning and then taper it off as the vacation goes on, so that I'm more relaxed and have fewer things to do the longer vacation goes. And I also know that as soon as I get home, like as soon as I set foot in the front door, I'm getting my dirty clothes out of my luggage and putting it in the laundry and like putting stuff away immediately, because I just want to be able to relax. I'm not a guy who likes to have his suitcases out for 2 or 3 weeks after a vacation. I just want to get it like settled so I can just be done in a way, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You like that too?
I do. Yeah. And the clean, I'm sure a lot of people have this where you feel like you need to clean before the vacation.
Yes.
Really, really
You're
well.
coming
So
home
that when
to
you
a
come
clean
home,
house.
it's already clean, but it's like ridiculous things that don't need to be done in that moment. Like you could just do your normal cleaning routine, but in my mind, I'm like, we should really wash the windows before we go and like scrub the baseboards and, paint that little thing that we've been forgetting to do forever. And
Wow.
yeah. I have these urges to do these big tasks that don't end up getting done. Like just do the normal dusting and vacuuming and making sure everything's good.
Well, you're giving a gift to future Brooke, right?
Exactly.
You want future Brooke to come home to this perfect home, and that's a nice thing to think of.
Yeah.
You're saying, Ryan, too, you have certain preferences in terms of how you like to travel. Now those are shifted, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone on a trip with someone who has different preferences than you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you're able to navigate through it okay, or does it ever lead to some frustration or tense moments?
I haven't had horror stories, and I know that a lot of people do have horror stories, and
Yeah.
usually I guess I just choose travel companions that who I already mesh with fairly well, and maybe we talk about a few things beforehand. But like the whole, are you a planner or kind of a go with the flow thing? That's a big deal with people, I think, and it's nice to know that beforehand. Like what are your expectations of this trip, right? What do you like to do on vacation? So I've had some hiccups in there, but for the most part, I've been pretty fortunate that it's gone pretty smoothly. And like I said before, also there've been many times in my life when I've taken solo vacations, and I don't have any problem with that at all. I know that's, again, I'm, as a male, I feel safe enough to do that and all of that. But so I don't have any problem with that. I think it's kind of fun. I kind of enjoy my company and seeing what who I'm going to meet along the way.
Yeah. You have to appease all the voices in your head.
Yeah, they all get along fairly well most of the time. But yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious, what's everyone's preferences in terms of ideal trip these days?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I've got, I mean, I guess it goes on a lot of different levels. I've been to a lot of places that are warm and tropical, and I think I've seen enough of those. I think I like mountains more. Kind of growing up in the mountains, so I think I would be more of a nature, forests as a backdrop, and I've got this little quest with my boys. We have this idea that we want them to see all 50 states at some point. So
Wow.
I want them to go and see every one of the states if possible. So we've got a checklist. So I'm going to try to see on some of our vacations, which states they haven't been to yet.
So what are you up to
That's
now?
cool.
I'm up to 41, but they're all are in the mid 20s or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Pretty
we've got a lot
good.
to go. Lot to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Vacation for me right now would probably be, I don't know, just exploring around something outdoorsy, like something like Iceland, and rent a camper van and just drive around and see beautiful things. Yeah. That's kind of exploring. Yeah, just a lot of nature stuff, probably. Same with Ryan. Yeah. I'm not too much feeling like a all-inclusive and drinking on the beach right now. I think it'd just be more of an exploring, checking things out. Not like busy, but nature focused. Yeah.
Good.
How about you two?
Yeah, I think that it's a tough one to answer because we're just in St. John's, Newfoundland, and doing a vacay. So I feel like in this exact moment, I feel pretty satisfied, So I think in this moment, it would just be some time away from work and low-key things and kind of more go with the flow, and yeah, getting some of those checklist items or off the list, or being out in nature, and but still connecting with people socially, like just a really well-balanced kind of time for me right now. Definitely not like Vegas. Vegas would be on the, or like that level of stimulation. Like if somebody was like, you want to go to Bali? Do you want to go to Vegas? Do you want to? I'd be like, no, I do not. I do not want to do that. And probably not a big city. Like to go to New York right now, wouldn't want to do it.
It's funny that you put Bali and Las Vegas in the same category.
I know.
Yeah. What's going on in Bali these days?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people go there and then they like.
Oh, it's all the Instagrammers with their flashes.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Disorienting.
I just feel like a lot of people travel certain places. There's like very touristy places, and I wouldn't want to go to a very touristy place.
Yeah.
I guess.
For
It's
sure.
interesting because I thought about more of a big trip when you asked this question, but I'd be happy for like one night on a weekend, like in a cottage by the sea type thing, just like a one night to go somewhere and just sit under the, like sit on the deck, watch the ocean, maybe have a person or two with me.
Yeah.
Go for a hike. I'm happy, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
One night. Yeah.
I was like, let's go to Souk. Like that's where it's kind of at for me.
What's Souk? Where's Souk? What's that like?
That is on Vancouver Island. So it's not too far from here. You have to drive maybe 45 minutes to go to the ferry, and then it's hour and a bit ferry, hour and 20 minutes.
It's about just under, I think it's like an hour 45.
Oh.
It's a short stay.
And then an hour and 10-minute drive from the ferry. But yeah, small town, lots of like hikes down to different beaches, and
part of the one
sense of urgency there. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm of two minds. I think Joanna kind of touched on a similar theme there. Love just to go to be close to the ocean, whatever ocean or place that would be. I also like the novelty of checking out new communities and that experience. So natural beauty, but I do like, just going somewhere new and just checking out the local scene. So that could be, whatever the cafes or the pubs or live music opportunities or fairs or
great.
Art galleries. Just kind of go with the flow that way.
It's great.
So,
it's great. I was flipping through some stuff this last weekend and saw that Time Magazine listed their 30 most interesting places in the world, and Tofino was one of those.
Really?
Yeah,
Tofino, which is
a lot
another
busier up there.
That's another spot on Vancouver Island, right?
Yeah. It takes a little bit longer to get there. After the ferry, it's like a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
guess it depends what ferry you go to as well.
Yeah, Tofino is a really cool place. It's yeah, very expansive beaches and windblown trees, and
Small town.
yeah, very unique for Vancouver Island. I think actually very unique for just the west coast of North America. But yeah, super cool place. Becoming
Sounds-
very popular though.
Well, now that Time Magazine, featured it, it's going to be a little more crowded. Who knows?
Most likely, yeah.
Who knows? Yes. Okay, so it sounds like we're kind of pro vacation as far as mental health is concerned, right? With a few caveats, could be stressful. Consider the company and the needs that people have.
The resources.
The resources, of course, that people have.
Addressing the anxiety.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of components there that are worth delving into. Overall, though, I think it's probably a good thing, whatever that vacation looks like, right?
Absolutely. It sounds like it's sounds like we're in favor. Pro vacation. Okay. Chris, did we tackle your topic adequately?
We did, yeah. I think we looked at it from all different angles,
Okay.
including the question itself.
Yes. Well, what about Bob, everybody? Streaming on a service near you. for a great example of a stressful vacation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ethical concerns with that movie.
Yes, therapists love that movie. We have a book club, everybody. In 2 weeks or 2 sessions from now, whatever that will be, we're going to be talking about the book Good Morning Monster. And Chris and I have read it. Joe and Brooke are in process, and I'll give you the warning. It's pretty intense, but really insightful, very deep and rich if you're interested in kind of human nature and how people deal with and process trauma, frankly. But good book, and I'm sure it'll be a good discussion when we talk about it. Good Morning Monster. So,
All right.
yes. So read that. Run out to your bookstore and grab that book. And I guess that's it for us tonight, right?
That's it. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. So we'll just sign off and like and subscribe to us on Apple, Google, Podbean, Spotify, Podbean, wherever else we are.
Stitcher and YouTube.
Stitcher and YouTube. Oh, you got it. Yes,
Oh
YouTube.
my gosh, Ryan, you're off your game there.
I am
We've
up
done
my
this in a
game. I
while.
have my little cue cards here. And that's it for tonight. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye now.
Bye.
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 See you.